We continue our parish reading of the Catechism of the Catholic Church against the background of our readings. The Acts of the Apostles, chapter 5, from verse 17, when the Christians were released by miracle from the temple, has a very interesting sentence. Go stand in the temple and tell the people all about this new life. All about this new life. The new life with the risen Lord. And this new life with the risen Lord is the very ground of prayer, of which is the theme of today's passages, what we are about to read. The life of prayer. Paragraph 26, 97. Prayer is the life of the new heart. It ought to animate us at every moment. But we tend to forget Him, who is our life and our all. This is why the fathers of the spiritual life, in the Deuteronomic and prophetic traditions, insist that prayer is a remembrance of God, often awakened by the memory of the heart. Saint Gregory of Nazianzus says, we must remember God more often than we draw breath. But we cannot pray at all times if we do not pray at specific times, consciously willing it. These are the special times of Christian prayer, both in intensity and duration. The tradition of the Church proposes to the faithful certain rhythms of praying intended to nourish continual prayer. Some are daily, such as morning and evening prayer, grace before and after meals, the liturgy of the hours, Sundays centered on the Eucharist, are kept holy primarily by prayer. The cycle of the liturgical year and its great feasts are also basic rhythms of the Christian life of prayer. The Lord leads all persons by paths and in ways pleasing to Him, and each believer responds according to his heart's resolve and the personal expression of his prayer. However, Christian tradition has retained three major expressions of prayer: vocal, meditative, and contemplative. They have one basic trait in common: composure of heart. This vigilance in keeping the word and dwelling in the presence of God makes these three expressions intense times in the life of prayer. What we read also makes sense in the context of our underlying theme these days, when we try to see our prayer life and Christian life with the Gospel as our first or primary life, and our life on the second media as a second life, as a secondary life. The Church teaches that there is a rhythm for prayer, morning prayer and evening prayer. And the important point was in what we read that keeping these rhythms grounds and is the condition of continuous prayer for Christians. And it's interesting to contrast our customs, how we use social media and the internet. There is no rhythm in it. We touch it, start scrolling when we feel like, when we get bored, when suddenly we don't have anything to do. And somehow, for many of us, it can become a continuous habit, just wasting time. And instead of spending time in quality life, in our first life, we are just spending and wasting our life in secondary life, in second life. The best solution would be not using social media at all. We don't really need it. But it seems to be very harsh and impossible. But what we can learn from the rhythm, the importance of the rhythm of the Church's prayer life, that if there is a rhythm of prayer, morning prayer and evening prayer, either in the local churches or from a prayer book or using an app, we should really restrict the use of social media if we use it to 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the evening the most, but only twice, in order to have a control over it, that there's a rhythm how we use and how we pray.